What's going on, guys? Denver Nuggets fan 2, back here again. Here to finally do a video that I knew eventually I was going to have to do. I was hoping I wouldn't have to do, but I knew the end of this whole process was near, and this process is finally over. If you haven't heard by now, I'm not sure what rock you've been living under, or you're probably just not a basketball fan or a sports fan in general, but the Nuggets have traded forward Carmelo Anthony to the New York Knicks. Deal happened yesterday. This process is finally over. All you Nuggets fans out there, like myself, know this has been a really drawn-out process. I think for all parties involved, especially obviously Carmelo, his family, and I think all the players that have been involved in all these rumored deals, and I think especially for Nuggets fans as well, this has been a real draining process, a very frustrating process, and I'm very relieved that a deal is finally done and that a trade has finally been made. And that all parties can move on, and that we can just kind of put this process behind us, as well as Carmelo can put this whole ordeal behind himself, and the Nuggets can move on now. So it definitely is a sense of relief now for me as a Nuggets fan that I don't have to listen to these Carmelo rumors every time I turn on ESPN or SportsCenter, or every time I'm just watching a basketball game in general and I got to hear about Carmelo Anthony going here and this and that and all these rumors. And it definitely was a long process. I mean, this whole ordeal started back in June of last year. Obviously, when the Nuggets offered Melo a 3-year, $65 million extension, he decided not to sign that extension with us and not stay with us for another 4 years because he's already had one more deal left on his current deal. Obviously, signing that extension would have made it a four and a half year deal. And he decided not to do that. We obviously changed the management part of our team, our front office of our team. Josh Kroenke was moved to the president of the team, and Masai Ujiri became our new GM. We fired Mark Warkentine. And right before we did that, it was reported that Carmelo Anthony was very close to signing that extension. So a lot of things happened over the summer. Then obviously into the season, people were saying that Carmelo was making trade demands, that he was going to go to Chicago, New York, New Jersey. There's just tons of rumors. There's a deal in September that it was a 4-way trade with the Nuggets, Nets, Bobcats, and Jazz that would have landed us Derek Favors and a bunch of picks. That deal fell through. Then there was a deal, I believe, just straight up with the Nuggets and the Nets, as well as Detroit was involved in it. That would have sent Melo, Chauncey, and Rip Hamilton, New Jersey. We would have got Derek Favors, like a bunch of guys, like 7 or 8 players, a couple picks, something along those lines. That deal fell through. The Nets owner Mikhail Prokhorov came out and said, "Listen, deal's too expensive. We're taking our hat, our hat out of the Carmelo running," and he basically instructed the Nets front office to stop the deal. A lot of people saw that as a bluff, which I think it somewhat was. Then there's a report that the Lakers and Nuggets were talking a Bynum Melo straight up deal. And then, obviously, we got back to this Knicks deal. Obviously, the Nuggets were very hesitant in dealing Melo to the Knicks early on because the Knicks weren't going to budge. They thought they could just get the guy in free agency, which I think they still would have got if no trade would have happened. I think Carmelo Anthony would eventually sign with the New York Knicks as a free agent because that's obviously where he wanted to be, and ultimately where I think he wanted to finish his career out and play the remainder of his career out. He's about to hit his prime. He's only 26, and I think New York was a place he wanted to be. Obviously, that's his home. And moving his wife and his son there, and playing with a guy like Amari Stoudemire. I think that's what Melo really wanted, and he finally got it. It was definitely a draining process. I think, like I said, for all the players that were involved in the rumors from all the teams, and I think even like I said, for Nuggets fans, and especially for guys like Carmelo Anthony, Chauncey Billups, and those that were all involved. But I think it definitely took the most toll. It definitely took on who it took the most toll on, I think, was Carmelo. And obviously it came to the head over All-Star break. Carmelo was getting questioned by the media. You had LeBron and Kobe coming to his defense, and apparently the Nuggets had agreed in principle to trade with the Nets. That would have netted us Derek Favors and 4 first-round picks. Melo met with Nets owner Mikhail Prokhorov on Saturday, reportedly met with New York Knicks owner James Dolan on Thursday, and apparently the Nuggets management and the Knicks had talked quite a bit in trying to make this deal. The trade itself, the New York Knicks will be getting, of course, Carmelo Anthony as well as guard Chauncey Billups. They're also getting Anthony Carter, Ronaldo Balkman, and Sheldon Williams from us. They're also getting Corey Brewer from the Minnesota Timberwolves who are involved in this deal. The Nuggets, on the other hand, we get guard Raymond Felton, forwards Wilson Chandler and Danilo Gallinari, as well as center Timofey Mozgov, a 2014 first-round pick and 2 second-round picks. And the Minnesota Timberwolves get Eddie Curry in his expiring contract, as well as Anthony Randolph. So that's the deal. Like I said, it's all but official. These guys just got to pass their physicals, and the process is over. So as a Nuggets fan, I'm relieved to have this put behind us as a franchise and as a fan. I was just getting really fed up with this whole process, and like I said, having to hear about Carmelo basically every day and a different rumor, and listening to him. I think he was very mixed with his messages, was very coy, never really gave a definitive answer on anything. But bottom line is Carmelo wanted to be a New York Knick, regardless of what he's going to say. It's pretty apparent that that's where he wanted to be, and I don't blame him. Carmelo had a great 7.5, 8 years here with us in Denver. I'd like to thank him for the 7.5, 8 years that he gave this team, this franchise and organization, and he did some great things for the city and really brought basketball, in a sense, back in Denver. Obviously, we went to the playoffs every year he was here, had that great Western Conference finals run 2 years ago. We fell short to the Lakers, of course, we won a lot of games with him. We had a great run. There's a very good atmosphere here in Denver while he was here, and he did a lot of great things for the city and franchise. And I will never boo, I will never dislike or hate Carmelo for not wanting to be here in Denver anymore and not wanting to be a Nugget anymore. I completely understand why he wanted to be in New York. Obviously, it's a bigger city, it's a bigger market, it's probably more attractive to free agents than Denver is, and Madison Square Garden. I mean, what can you say? It's a legendary place to play, and that's where he wanted to be. That's his home. He's from there. He played college, played college basketball there at Syracuse. And he wants to just go back home, and he wants to play there, obviously, because it is New York. And they have a little guy named Amar'e Stoudemire there, who I've said before to Nuggets fans, there's not one player on our team, even when we had Carmelo, who's better than Amar'e Stoudemire. The only guy you could probably argue that is better than Stoudemire is Carmelo. So I don't blame him for wanting out. I'll never hold that against him. The thing that does kind of frustrate me is that Chauncey was kind of dragged into this because Carmelo did not want to stay. That one really hurt me when I heard Chauncey Billups was going to be a New York Knick. Chauncey Billups is Denver. He's one of us. He's a Denver native. First time I've ever teared up over a player being traded. It's just extremely sad that Chauncey has been traded and was, of course, included in this deal. And just you got to take your hat off to Chauncey Billups. I mean, he will always be Denver, regardless of what jersey he puts on. He will always be one of us. He'll always be representing Denver, and Denver loves this guy. This city loves Chauncey Billups, and to me that I was more sad to see him traded than Carmelo, just because of that connection there. And Chauncey wanted to retire here. He wanted to stay here. He's got to move his family again. I hope that's not the case. I hope he just probably goes to New York, buys a condo there, and allows his family to stay in Denver. But that one hurt. That one stinged a lot. I wish Chauncey could have been kept out of this deal. I can't say enough about Chauncey Billups and his time here. Obviously played with the Nuggets back in the mid-90s very briefly, and then came back here 2.5 years ago, close to 3 years now, but about 2.5 years ago when we traded Allen Iverson to the Detroit Pistons for Chauncey, and just immediately brought electricity to the city of Denver, and obviously was a key part of that Western Conference Finals run. And it was just great to have him playing for his hometown, and it's sad that he was included in this trade. So I want to thank Chauncey Billups for everything he's done for the city of Denver, whether that's being playing at George Washington High School, being at CU, and obviously playing for the Nuggets 2 times. Unfortunately, both tentures were rather short, which definitely hurts as a Nuggets fan, but I wish him the best in New York, and I know Knicks fans know that they're getting a great player, and I hope they know that they're getting a great person, a great player, and a phenomenal leader in Chauncey Billups, and I wish him the best, and obviously want to thank Sheldon Williams, Ronaldo Balkman, and Anthony Carter for everything they did for this franchise as well. I know neither guy was really, none of those 3 guys were huge keys to our team, and Sheldon, unfortunately, Sheldon Williams had a short tenure here, but want to thank all those guys for playing here, and I wish all those guys the best in New York. So that's kind of my thoughts on the deal. This is very sad for me as a Nuggets fan. It's one of the darkest days as a Nuggets fan to see this finally happen, but kind of knew it was going to come and eventually happen. So want to wish Carmelo Anthony, his family, the best in New York. As a Nuggets fan, I am saying that. I'll never hate Carmelo. I'll never boo him. I will always appreciate the 8 years that he gave this franchise and team, everything he did here. Wish it would have been a little longer. Wish we could have, maybe tried to get a Stoudemire to come join him in Denver, but obviously that wasn't the case. and I would like to just wish Carmelo Anthony and obviously Chauncey Billups, which really hurts the worst, to be honest with you, to see him leave and be included in this. Still, that hurts. But want to wish, like I said, Carmelo Anthony, Chauncey Billups, the rest of the guys that are from the Nuggets going to the Knicks, and wish those guys the best in New York. I hope they can do what they want to do, and of course that's bringing a championship back to the Garden and back to the Big Apple and back to New York City and try to revive basketball there. So best wishes to Carmelo Anthony and Chauncey Billups. I hope to see those guys win a ring in New York. They did a lot of great things for this franchise, and once again I thank them for everything they did here. Wish they were still in Nuggets, blue and gold. It definitely hurts to see them no longer part of this team, both of them, but I'd say it hurts more that Chauncey's been traded. So now we got a new group of guys. We got Danilo Gallinari coming in, Wilson Chandler, Raymond Felton, Timothy Mozgov, a couple of picks. See what the Nuggets do. From what I understand, the Nuggets may trade Gallinari. I'm not sure or not, but I think all four of those guys are pretty solid players. They're all pretty young as well, and like to welcome all four of those guys to Denver. I'm sure they'd rather live in New York. I think a lot of people would than Denver. But want to say welcome to Denver, to Felton, Gallinari, Chandler, and Mozgov. Looking forward to see what these guys can do. I've heard a lot of great things about Danilo Gallinari. I haven't seen as much games of those guys as I'm sure Knicks fans have seen of them. I'm pretty familiar with most of them, all three of those guys, but not probably as familiar as Knicks fans are, and even Bobcats fans are with Raymond Felton, obviously. But I'm happy to have all three of those guys, in Denver. Looking forward to see what they can do, and looking forward to see what they can do to help this team. And hopefully we can make a playoff push and try to get a 7 or 8 seed and stay alive in the playoffs. But definitely a dark day in Denver Nuggets basketball history, and one of the saddest days for me as a fan to see both Carmelo and Chauncey no longer with the Denver Nuggets organization. But once again, wish them best, thank them for everything they did, and I know the Garden's going to be electric with Melo and Stoudemire. They're going to be a fun team. They got a tough hill to climb, obviously, in the East. And I wish them the best, and they got a great point guard now leading the ship there in New York with Chauncey Billups, and want to just say congratulations to the New York Knicks organization, all their fans, their reporters, everybody that lives in New York that is fans of the Knicks. Congratulations on this trade, and I know you guys are going to love Carmelo and Chauncey Billups, and here in Denver we're looking forward to having Danilo Gallinari, like I said, Felton, Wilson Chandler and Mozgov here. See if the Nuggets try to do any more trades before the deadline. Obviously, I'm not. I was trying to catch up on my game recaps before. That's not. I'm not going to continue doing that. I'm going to continue doing game recaps, but now with this trade, just those games are kind of irrelevant at this point. So, going to start my game recaps back up again with a recap of tonight's game. The Nuggets play the Memphis Grizzlies. Going to be an interesting game for us. We're going to be shorthanded. Obviously, the guys we traded for aren't in the deal, but I'll see you guys for that. So. Sad day to be a Nuggets fan. Just got to embrace these new guys coming in, but definitely a tough one. Going to take some time for me as a Nuggets fan to get over this. And once again, thank Carmelo Anthony and Chauncey Billups for everything they did. And I wish the best of luck to them with their new teammate, their big new teammate, Amari Stoudemire in New York. Hopefully they can bring a chip back to the Garden. So good luck to those guys. I think the Knicks gave up as much as they were, more than they wanted to, and I think the Nuggets, with how they were forced to kind of make this trade with Carmelo, kind of really not wanting to go anywhere else but besides New York, and kind of their hand was forced with don't want to risk losing him for nothing in free agency. I think we got a pretty good deal and got some nice young players to look forward to the future. So patience is going to be the key for the Nuggets. I've rambled on long enough, guys. If you stuck with me to this point through the video, thank you so much. Thanks to all the Nuggets fans that watch my videos. I know there's only a couple of you. And once again, congratulations to the New York Knicks fans. And you guys enjoy having Melo and Chauncey join forces with Stoudemire on your team. So I'm out, guys. I think the Nuggets did a solid job in this deal and getting what they could, given the circumstances. And just ask Cleveland and Toronto if we got if we got a pretty good deal here, because they got nothing for LeBron James and Chris Bosh leaving both their franchises. So. Thanks for watching, guys. And as much as it hurts to say, without Carmelo and Chauncey Billups, no longer part of the team. As always, go Nuggets.